Hey guys, so for those of you on the 7-day mini course, I hope you're enjoying it, and I'm just going to answer some of the questions about spine waves now and why they're useful and whatnot. So a couple of the questions I've had have just been around posture, like what if I can't get my head on the wall, or if I get stuck, or if it feels like a large chunk of my back. A lot of people are asking why that might happen. So control over your spine in that sagittal plane, so that forward and back motion. We create control like through a number of ways, right? So if the way that you've created tissue has adapted to how you've been sitting or moving for a long time, and you've never really addressed it, so you've moved around that, you're going to end up, when you do try and address it or move it, it's going to feel like it just doesn't work, and it might even feel like it's just not possible that it ever would work. So if you're in that situation where you kind of go like here, tailbone's on, then your whole back end's on as a chunk, and then you get your head on, it's just you cannot do it unless you sort of do something like this, probably means that where you think a straight line is no longer a straight line. Okay, you kind of get this drop forward, and everyone will do this in a different way depending on your constitution and what sort of tissue you have on and things like that. But you might get the forward head drop, or you might get the whole chest rolling forward. They can all be worked with through that movement. They can all be worked with through a ton of other movements as well. It's not as though you're ever going to find one movement that covers everything for you, but that particular movement with the spine wave is a great way to figure out the areas that you don't have control over. Now, the one caveat for that is that you don't cause yourself pain by doing spine waves, right? So you don't want to be going like forcing yourself to get your spine on the back, and then you find that you're really jarring your neck because you're coming forward to try and create tension there. The idea is just to understand that, oh wow, every time I try and get that particular part of my back to move in that way, I really steal from the area like my cervical spine and the tissue around my neck. So what does that mean? Like, what does that mean if you sort of steal from that tissue to create the movement, right? It means that you're putting a huge amount of load and stress on your neck. Now, for anything that demands a similar movement of you, let's just say a forward bend, the chances are that you're still overloading the neck a lot, right? And you're doing that just at a subclinical level, meaning you don't really feel any symptoms from that. You just are doing it, and it's at some stage going to cause you a problem. That's that situation where you're in the shops or something, you pick something up and your neck just goes bang, turns out you've got bulging discs and all sorts of other degeneration. It's usually when you've just not looked after it for a long, long time, or you've misused tissues that shouldn't be used for stability. So movements like this that really pick apart what we can and can't do are a great way to ascertain what we can and can't do, but it doesn't mean that you're immediately going to, like, you don't have to be able to do it through this movement. You're just using it as a test. You can try other things and then come back and see what's working, and it will work over time. If you give it time to slowly build into it, you'll gain a lot more mobility and control through your spine. So the one caveat, as I mentioned, is just don't go to the point where you're creating pain or you feel anything happening that doesn't feel quite right. Hope that's useful for you, team. I'll have more stuff coming on the breath and the diet, and then as we move through and I get some more questions, I'll address the second day of the breathing and the second day of the movement as well.